Welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Trent Alexander-Arnold delivers late heroics to Liverpool as Jurgen Klopp's men come from behind against Man City in a tense 1-1 draw at the Etihad. Alejandro Garnacho's stunning bicycle kick piles on more problems for Everton as they lose 3-0 at home to Manchester United. Arsenal go top of the table after Kai Havertz comes off the bench to score a late winner against Brentford, and Newcastle sweep Chelsea aside with a 4-1 win at St James's Park in what Mauricio Pochettino called Chelsea's worst performance of the season. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
Okay, Mustoe, before we dive into the football, I'd like to recommend a fantastic new podcast that's all about Formula One and its rapid rise in the USA. If you want more Formula One after the conclusion of another exciting season, check out CNBC's special podcast series, Inside Track, The Business of Formula One. It's an inside look at what's fueling F1's popularity and who is profiting. Sarah Eisen profiles the biggest names in the game, the league CEOs, brand name sponsors, and the $1 million packages rolled out for the most elite fans. You can listen by following the Squawk on the Street podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Love Formula One, by the way.
I know you love Formula One. And I
One.
knew this was a personal reading for you, my friend.
I loved it. You did a great job on it.
Thank you very much.
And I'm gonna tune into the podcast. I love Formula One. Love it.
Squawk on the Street podcast, don't forget it.
Got it. Okay, right then. Big game for us though. Lots of talk on this game.
Dear.
Flipping heck.
What a weekend, by the way, my friend.
What a weekend. Isn't it always a great weekend there, but full of stories, some good, some bad. But let's start, Rob, with it's always going to be the biggest game of the season at this moment in time. Man City against Liverpool have been the two dominant forces over the last 5 or 6 years, haven't they, in the Premier League? Yeah. Much anticipated, much talked about because it was the first game on Saturday morning, the 12:30 UK, 7:30 in the morning, after international break. And maybe, just maybe, that influenced or affected the game late on the game. But it ended up 1-1, Rob, and Erling Haaland scores again after 27 minutes to make 1-0 to Manchester City in a very impressive first half for them, I thought. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, as we just teased it, with a really nice goal in the second half. What do we learn, I guess? What do we learn about where Liverpool are? I think that's probably the bigger question here, where Liverpool are compared to where...
I totally agree, but let's just do things in order. Erling Haaland, 50 Premier League goals in 48 appearances is incredible. I mean, 17 quicker than Andy Cole did. I know Andy Cole didn't take penalties, but just in the modern era, I mean, this guy's setting records that could last a very, very long time. Well, if it's got to be some striker to get the next 50 goals in quicker than 48 games. That's going to be some striker.
You just think about it, really. Yeah, I mean, if he stays in the Premier League for the next 5 or 6 years, he's going to hit massive numbers. Like, I don't know. A player like this comes along, in our lifetime, Rob. In our lifetime, have we seen anybody as prolific as him?
I'm not sure we've ever seen anyone quite like this guy.
In this team. He's in this amazing creative team.
So you're right. So just wanting to pay, justice to Haaland and his goal record. Yeah, I think the story was slightly more about Liverpool, about what will we learn about Liverpool from this game? I'm still of the opinion, or was of the opinion, Rob, where I'm not quite sure with Liverpool. Are they really kind of title contenders, or are they just going to be a good side who are going to fall short?
We know they're better. We know they're better.
Absolutely.
But we don't know how much that going to take them.
And how close. A couple of things stood out to me from the game. One was the attitude of Liverpool. Liverpool went to the Etihad to win that game. Jurgen Klopp said it after the game. Trent Alexander mentioned it after the game. Liverpool are now back in that monster mentality, the mentality monsters he talked of. Now, whether they're good enough to play that way, whether they'll score enough goals, whether they defend enough, whether the midfield's good enough, we'll find out. But the mentality of this football club, I think, is back where they believe they can win titles.
But are we also saying that it's different now? Because I feel it's different.
Yeah, it's
I don't disagree with the mentality part, but they're doing it in a different way.
Absolutely.
They're not flipping hungry,
But my thought, my overall line is, they didn't go to Manchester City thinking a draw. However they played, whoever was the stars, they went to Manchester City saying, we're going there to win, which they used to do when they went close with titles and won titles. And part of that, Robin, and I wanted to make the point that it feels to me, and probably in love is the wrong word, that Jurgen Klopp's kind of fell back into his club again. It's back to him, it's back to the club, it's back to his personality, it's back to people. He loves the players again, he loves the training. He's been refreshed by a bit of a different look and a different way and a different challenge.
Well, it's the midfield's as a rebuild. I think defensively, I think he's worked on that in pre-season to stop the crazy. I mean, they just gave a lot of goals away the last year. Trent's position, of course, is something new again. I thought the biggest moment in this game came at half-time when Jurgen Klopp went to work and he made substitutions that made the team better. Ryan Gravenberch is better than Curtis Jones. I think pretty immediately. I understand maybe in a game like this that he wanted Curtis Jones, who's kind of been around a little bit. He's only a young player still. Gravenberch, I thought, made them better. And Luis Diaz is definitely better on the outside. Now, that change at half-time, plus Trent Alexander-Arnold going inside on Bernardo Silva, who was superb and running the game in the first half, made a difference. Now, you could argue that Man City looked tired. There's a whole conversation about substitutions. Jurgen Klopp made 5. Pep Guardiola made 0, which is, really odd. But
we have seen Pep do that in the past, where he's made no subs, and people have questioned, and I know why. But there's some days where Pep's almost like, this is 11, unless somebody's injured. They're going to go all the way.
And it's not as though you looked at the bench and there's a ton of options. Now, I feel like with City, we always, because they have so few injuries, Rob, they've always got a ton of good options off the bench. This was not the case. Liverpool's bench was stronger, and I know it's about injuries and Kevin De Bruyne is a main man, etc., but is that a little bit of cause for concern that when Pep would like to maybe rotate and go to his bench a little bit more, particularly in this game, the depth isn't as strong as we expect?
I don't think too many neutrals, would be giving Pep any sympathy, like, Pep ain't got enough players, or Pep. No. I mean, Jack Grealish was ill, which was obviously missed.
And it's De Bruyne.
De Bruyne, obviously, we know. John Stones is another big one that would play and drop into midfield.
Nunez. Mateus
Nunez. Nunez. So, listen. I can't say it's a lack of squad. I don't think we'll ever be able to say it's a lack of squad depth that's going to stop Manchester City. I just thought there was something about City that their football was excellent in the first half, and we have to talk about Bernardo Silva, who's that little tweak, who's that special little football IQ at another level. They kept picking pockets of space to that left-hand side, where the other side of McAllister, where Trent didn't want to come in, where Doku stayed wide, and it caused Liverpool all kind of problems. As you said quite rightly, Klopp dealt with it better second half. But I just felt that City, for some reasons, it didn't feel like City were totally up. When City have played the big teams, I always think they almost go, right, we're going to show them who's boss.
Like some killer instinct.
Yeah, and there's passing, and it's sharp, and there's aggression, and it didn't ever feel like that. And funny enough, I didn't hear anything after our game, but he did a later press conference, and he was asked about. Apparently Pep said he didn't think the fans quite got behind them, and he said maybe we've got to do better to get them going, but he felt the atmosphere, and we did a little breakdown, didn't we, where there was a few shots of him setting off, scratching his head, and not quite looking his normal confident self.
I thought afterwards, whether it's that, there's a lot of talk of these international breaks, and they go away, don't they, 3 times, September and October and November. Was there some tiredness there? He didn't have the bench stronger, so he almost did he expect, Rob, but was he not surprised that they fell away in the second half? Because we were a little bit. I remember saying at the end of the game, wow, kind of surprised how City fell away after looking so bright, so sharp, they moved the ball so well in the first half, that second half they weren't able to do that. I mean, obviously credit goes to Liverpool as well.
Absolutely.
And on that thing, Rob, let's quickly kind of think about Liverpool now. Then we've had a good bit of body of evidence.
Yeah,
I think we all know it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
After in the show, I think I said, I was really impressed with Liverpool actually, and I think the general reaction maybe isn't as strong as that from others around the game. I really feel that now we're going to have a 3-team race well into the season, in my opinion, given what I've seen of the 3 teams so far. I'm not saying that anybody's going to overcome City, because we've seen them reach top gear in the last few months many times, so we can't, but I just thought Liverpool looked like they've got it. They've got that belief back a little bit, confidence back a little bit, and a quality that the McAllister and the Szoboszlai, and I think Gravenberch's going to be a big part of that. If they can find a defensive number 6 in January, never easy market, then I think that would complete the puzzle for them.
Would Calvin Phillips fit the bill? I know his name's been mentioned. if City would let him. Maybe City might not let him go to a rival.
Might not let him go, and I don't know. It's because he hasn't played so much. It's hard to kind of get a sense of where he's at.
To speed.
Yeah,
it's interesting. No, I don't disagree. Part of my thought was it was a really important performance from Liverpool. I think it's given that dressing room belief. It was a day when I didn't think Mo Salah had a particularly good day, Rob, and you don't often say that. Didn't think he looked that dangerous. Thought Ake did a good job quieting him down on that right-hand side. But there's definitely threats. They're definitely part of the picture. I sense right now they might end up being a little short, and just that defensive side and
just to push you on that whereabouts, because remember before the game we said it's a test for every part.
It is a test,
for the defence,
and I think
the midfield, and the front
they
players.
can go closer. I still not sure defensively. Matip and Van Dijk.
This was pretty good against Doku, who's so difficult to.
Yeah, absolutely. But the quality and the demands of the league and Europa League football, if they stay in that, just wonder if that might just be something that catches them. But. Listen, I thought it was a really good day for Liverpool.
I like the game. I enjoyed the game.
I enjoyed it. And Liverpool have shown that maybe they can compete and maybe go. If they're the one team, I think, even more than Arsenal now, and I know Arsenal have gone through experience, I think if Liverpool can be there or thereabouts, they're not going to fear it.
No,
they're not going to fear it. I don't think they'll be the.
I think you could say that about Arsenal as well, though.
I think more so now, and we'll talk about Arsenal now. But more so now than maybe we did last year. Well, I think everybody felt last year, didn't they? Some point, Arsenal's gonna cave this in.
Yeah. All right, Rob. Let's move on to the next game that we feel is a big story as well, and that's the Everton story, Rob. And this game finished Everton 0, Manchester United 3. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure everybody's aware of it, mate, but we should quickly explain about Everton's point deduction. They've had 10 points deducted by the Commission, which is the largest in league history, for the breaching of the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. I guess PSR, you could shorten that to. They basically, over this 3-year rolling period, they made a loss. I think it was £19.5 million, which is like $25 million. So they definitely broke the rules, but the 10 points deduction, I think, has shocked everybody, and it shocked us. And I think most people believe, wow, that's a lot of points for not a huge number over what's kind of allowed as a loss over 3 years, which is a big amount of money, £105 million. Do you want to let's quickly double down on what we think of that? Yeah. And I'll give you a little thought of an alternative
solution
method,
maybe, of how we could do this.
Anything to add in terms of we all know it's
hard, excessive. I think the biggest thing for me, Rob, that I was trying to get my head around and did a little bit of research to find out how do we get to 10 points? No transparency, no formula, no tariff, no matrix. I read a report, and this is, you've got to remember, and we should say to our viewers, it's an independent commission, not the Premier League who's set the points. It was the Premier League may make recommendments to the commission, but it's actually independent commission. I think it's 3 people. I read somewhere, and again, whether it's truthful or how accurate it was, that any breach that's found proven is an automatic 6-point penalty. And then you're docked 1 point per £5 million. You're over the limit. So let's just say, in rough terms, Everton were 20 million over the limit. So they get the 6-point breach, and then they get 4 extra points because 4 5s are 20. So that's how they come to the number 10.
And that's a report you read.
I read that in somewhere like The Guardian or The Telegraph or The Times this week. Now again. This is what was suggested, the matrix that the Commission used to get to 10. Because there is some talk that the Premier League was saying they thought it should be 12 points and the Commission didn't think it should be that high. So our
very own insider, David Ornstein, doesn't believe there is a tariff or a formula.
So somebody could be either saying there is, or somebody could be making that number up based on what they think.
Listen, I'm not a big fan of punishments, right, per se. I mean, and we got slapped with a 3-point deduction way back.
But I think, Rob, just on that point, and it's a very good point you make, but we have to say that Everton are in the wrong, and they did deserve some punishment.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, the Premier League has to hold clubs accountable for their financial... whatever, mistakes or whatever. Yeah. Now, let me just offer this as something that I was driving into the studio this morning, and I just think, it's got to be a different way. Let me present this and shout it down or whatever if you think. Now, so over the 3-year period, they were over, right? They were definitely over. Now, what I would suggest, and again, I haven't really thought through too much, but I'm going to chuck it out there anyway. that once you hit that loss over 3 years,
Yeah.
you're in trouble, right?
Okay.
Then you're in a probation period where everybody knows, the Premier League knows, listen, you've fallen foul of the rules. Now, what we do now, we work together and you have an opportunity to right that wrong. Over the next, and I'm going to chuck out there another 3-year period, you reverse those losses to make profits. You turn that back again. In that way, right, the club knows it's got to cut costs. Maybe it can't buy players in the transfer market. It's got to find a way over those 3 years to right the wrongs, to get the club healthy again, Rob, back into profit again. After that 3-year period, if they've righted everything and everything's back on track and the club have been super careful, you're good to go, Everton.
Okay.
You're good to go. But I tell you, but if after that 3-year period you can't do it and you don't do the things right to get into profit, you're out the league. You're automatically
Relegated.
20th place. You're 20th place. Now so it's almost like a suspended sentence, Rob.
So, okay, sorry.
I'll finish off real quick. So 3 years.
Yeah.
You broke the rules.
Yeah.
All right, you're in trouble. Now you're going to get a chance to put things right. I just like the rehabilitation that's going to help clubs get back on track, slap the wrists of the owners that have done irresponsible paying fees and stuff, which Moshiri has done. And after that 3-year period, if you've got a chance to, you know what, on you go.
Yeah.
Listen, and if you don't, and then you haven't got how many points deduction for Newcastle United, for example, or Nottingham Forest that break the rules? Is it and they've got 50 points? Is it 20 points, 30 points, 10 points?
Yeah,
how is it to be fair? This way, a club has got the chance to get themselves back on a straight and narrow. If not, you're out the league. It's as simple as that. Everybody knows where they stand, Rob. Everybody knows what the numbers are. 105 million on a rolling 3-year period. So everything's transparent and it's
transparency
clear.
Is important.
And they'll be like, next one is Brighton. Just for, you're over. You're over. Right now, you've got the 3 years. So however much that is, you've got to work to get it back. So if a big club spends tons of money thinking, you know what, it's only a 10-point ban, we can handle that. We don't mind finish mid-table.
We can afford
this is
that.
different. And if you go way over, you've got to go way over the other way to bring it back, and then you're good to go. If not, it doesn't matter who you are, you're in 20th place, you're automatically relegated. Thoughts?
I'm typing it up now, and I'm going to say, Richard Masters, be ready. Just got a couple of points I want to come back on. Your devil's advocate before we send it to Richard Masters.
Of course.
So first one is, again, reports, but strongly accurate reports, were saying that the Premier League were working with Everton during this case, and they were told that you're going over, but they still did it. Michelle. So what I'm saying is, they've almost had that period 3 years ago, and we are where we are now. So that's why they've got the 10 points.
They don't know what the consequence is. They didn't know what the consequence is back then. Yeah, all right, Premier League.
But
yeah,
I know we can't. Yeah,
all right. Not knowing what it is. If everybody knows at the point, they can still work with them.
So sorry, just to make your point, but you're saying if somebody's $1 million over, you're saying they've got 3 years to get it back, and if they don't...
And they probably will get it back.
Okay.
It's easy to get back because they didn't make that much of an error. And they're not slapped with anything. And they can't continue to break the rules because they've got to go back on your side.
Okay, so I'm okay with that. I just one more detail before I send it to Richard Masters is, when do I get relegated?
End of the season.
End of the season.
What do you mean?
So they've got a 10-point deduction now, but they still carry on the playing.
No. You're talking about my plan?
Yeah, your plan. Yeah, you just said if it's
they're 20th. You're going to be 20th. You're going down, mate.
Yeah,
if after the 3-year period,
so
the 3-year period losses, and then another 3-year period to get back on the straight and narrow. If you can't get back straight after the 3 years, you're going to go out the league. You're finishing 20th, guaranteed, no matter what time of year it is.
Okay. I think that might need a little bit more
some
thinking.
people might say this is too weak, Rob, too lenient. They broke rules for 3 years. They get 3 more years, but at least in those extra second 3 years, they're trying to get back. The whole objective of this, Rob, is to stop clubs going out of business
and stop people flaunting the rules and working in unethical ways that are suiting the big, powerful clubs and not the small clubs.
And what happens if Everton continue to spend badly? They could get another one and another one. And that's not healthy for the future of the football club. So this is trying to rehab the club and safeguard it for the fans. That is still going to be there and make them accountable and make them do something else. Anyway, that's my quick flipping drive to the studio thought about another way of doing it.
It was a good drive, mate. It was
a good drive. Anyway, the game, Rob.
Let's go back to the game.
Yeah, Man United back on track, good performance, maybe the best of the season. Forward scoring when they haven't scored all season. Yeah. And there was an element of some kind of goal that was pretty good.
The goal, it's up there with. It'll be probably in the top 5 all-time ever Premier League goals.
No, in my lifetime, I mean.
So we're going to see plenty of it. I mean, Garnacho with an incredible finish, which I thought, Rob, I said on air, sort of changed the feel, the narrative in the, you know, the Everton fans were wanting to say the piece. There was big noise. Yeah. It was all done in a very collective, measured manner, but it was definitely an atmosphere. Then all of a sudden it was like silence.
The biggest deflation.
I mean, it's hard to appreciate that goal, I suppose, if you're an Everton fan, but you still know it's football, you still know it's a piece of brilliance, and you kind of.
Do you think there's Everton fans are like, I don't believe this?
Yeah, at all times. How's our luck? Yeah, you know,
a goal like that.
Garnacho's first Premier League goal of the season.
I know, and to be fair, Everton found a way after that. They took a breath.
I thought they played
and they
well
had a good
for 20
period
minutes.
in the last kind of 20 minutes of the first half, and they had a couple of opportunities, not brilliant opportunities, but opportunities to score, which they didn't do. Then the second half starts, and they get what they think is a free kick to them for diving, and VAR overturns it for a penalty against Ashley Young on Martial. That I think we both agree is probably the right call, just for me, in terms of a clear and obvious error.
Not a lot, but just the right call. And then from that point on, United get a goal through Martial, who needed the goal. Rashford took the penalty that I thought was important. It gets him kick-started. Bruno Fernandes decided saying that it was fun. And that's a good win for Ten Hag. It's 3 goals, Rob. It's forward scoring goals. It's a decent performance. I know you want to talk about a certain player who's you're underappreciated. I just want to give Bruno Fernandes another little mention.
He's quality. He's
consistent. He's quality. He thinks about his teammates. He's a good captain. He's got his team back going again. My other last thought on United was, can this be a start of a bit of a building block now? I mean, they've won some games recently, 1-0, 2-1, whatever, not played particularly well. Thought that was a better performance. I thought at least the goal threat was there, and forwards have scored goals. I mean, from now till Christmas, it's going to be really important. And they've got a Champions League game against Galatasaray, by the way. This midweek, I think it's Wednesday.
I'm looking at my notes before the game. Huge week for Man United. Everton away, Galatasaray away. They're bottom of the Champions League group, and then Newcastle away. Massive. So we're going to learn a lot more this week. You know, Rob, I will give them a lot of praise for this performance, and some stunning moments in it. But they still got so much to do, Rob, haven't they? Yeah. Are we going to get Martial scoring every week? Garnacho can't do that every week. Is Rashford going to find his form again?
Yeah, but to be fair to United, you could say that of a few teams. You could ask the few teams.
This is Man United, Rob. They spent so much money.
I know,
and
but
this
it
is
isn't
better.
Man United.
They're digging themselves out of a hole from the start of the season where they're really, really poor, and I admire that. And I want to say right here, that's better. Here we go. This is Man United now on the mend.
It could be a start of something, though,
it could be, but
yeah, I know we've been.
We should
at this
be
place
beyond.
a few
It could
times,
be a start of something good.
Let's just take things as a football club that's been in all kinds of trouble. Maybe new ownership in the new year.
Yeah, there's more and more talk of Jim Ratcliffe, who's the guy who's going to buy 25%. Is getting hold of the football side. In the reports and the newspapers that we read every day, there's more talk of him. How he's going to bring this person into position, technical director of football.
Well, Richard Arnold's out the door.
So there's going to be changes there, which is for the best. We'll see how he feels about Erik Ten Hag. What Ten Hag did today, Rob, which I was impressed with, made some big calls. I mean, Sofyan Amrabat, a player that's coming on loan, the Moroccan,
chased for a while.
Yeah, which he chased, sat on the bench for a player that I'm going to immediately say is my underappreciated / one to watch out for, because we do that with this.
I know you grabbed him early, Mustoe.
I did grab him early. I grabbed him because I knew you'd be jumping on him, because his performance in this game, in the pivot, the number 6, the holding midfield player, whatever word you want to use for him, was pretty special in terms of his coolness. 18 years of age, his first Premier League start ever.
Kobe.
Really cool Cobby. Dropping really deep, really good on the ball. I mean, a bit raw. He's kind of a bit all over the place, but what a good, particularly the first 45 minutes. So there's a player that everybody, whether United fan or not, this guy, Mainu,
18 years of age.
18 years of age. Kobbie Mainoo
from Stockport in Manchester.
Was pretty special performance, and when I see that and I see the incredible goal from Garnacho, I then start. There's a little, I get a little excited because for Man United, for me, Rob, and we played against an incredible, young, talented Manchester United team that went on to do amazing things. I feel this football club's DNA is about young players and young teams and young stars and young talent.
And maybe not getting category
right
A
there.
top, but
just have young players that are hungry.
Hoyland,
How hungry are those
Hoyland
two?
could be going with them, couldn't he? If Rashford kicks into gear.
So
I
like those two for me would be my memories of this game as those two and what they can potentially do for the club in the future.
I'd one sort of picture comes back to me of Mainu today in an environment where he's a 6 at Everton in a really highly inflamed atmosphere, charged game. Everton with a cause, Manchester United needing a result in a performance. He did something, Rob. It was in the second half where he dropped into between the two centre-backs and Harry Maguire went on a run. And the ball got worked back to him one time and he took a touch. He stood on the ball and he almost went to Everton. Come and get it. He waited, Rob. It's almost like, something you do when you're 27, 28, 29, when you're confident, you're in front of big fans, and he waited, he looked around, he saw it, the pass wasn't on, he baited Calvert-Lewin in, he played a little give and go and clipped the ball down the side. And that, regardless of ability, that mentality at 18 years of age is incredible.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that about him. Maybe Martial took his goal really well from a beautiful ball from Bruno Fernandes. Maybe he'll go on a bit of a run. We said this before, and this is why something in me still holds back in really getting excited. But I was excited about those two performances today. I certainly want to just quickly on Everton, Rob, in terms of I think they're going to be okay to catch and overcome Luton in the Premier League and be okay, but they are 5 points from Luton from safety, and you don't want a couple of injuries or a bad a patch of form where you really are starting to panic a little bit. I know it's going to appeal. They'll try and get the points back. I've lived that. Expected and hoped the points to come back. They were not. It was a huge hammer blow at the time.
Sense they might get a couple back or something.
They might, but they've got to assume that they won't get anything back.
Wait at Forest next, Everton. Wait at Forest. My sort of concerns are that we're sort of saying, they'll catch Luton. We're a bit in that Luton. Listen, Luton could go on a little run, by the way.
Yeah, they're unique. They're playing a different way.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of confidence coming into the group now, and they're finding a few results. I never liked, and I'm sure Sean Dash, that it's only 10 points. It's a season to have 10 points because you work your way out. I never liked that.
No, I wouldn't like that either. No.
It's 10 points they've worked particularly hard to get that they've been taken away. And the other thing that you said today, where you felt they kind of lost a little bit of their drive and thing, and I kind of get that, because I was thinking, Rob, it was a day when, if I'm in Everton, in that dressing room, I'm thinking, come on today, we'll beat United, we'll show the Premier League. It never kind of got going. They were never there.
I don't like that stuff. I don't like that
and
stuff.
I think it deflated them. What I would say is, and where I think Sean Dyche has to be a little bit careful, is that anybody doesn't start feeling sorry for themselves. Because if that kicks in, and I don't think it will, and I don't think Sean Dyche is the kind of man, and I'm not sure the dressing room's got those kind of players, because most of them have had to dig in at some point in their careers, but I just don't hope there's not a bit of feeling sorry for themselves. Because if there is, they're in trouble, mate.
Totally agree. And maybe people think we're going to overplay this and say about this, but I can't stress enough that the mentality as footballers needs to be one in which that they stay focused on what they're doing and the purpose of their play and what the manager said and what's got them to playing better, and not start thinking about that or something else that changes the mindset. Well, I can't believe the way you've been treated. Yeah, the fans are angry. We're all angry. We're going to get the points. Changing. Don't just get out of your own head and focus. But that's why I don't like this talk of use this and as a motivating force and come out all good. I don't like all that. Don't want it. I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't want it. I want focus on performance. This is what we've got to do. These are the objective things we've got to do to win games. This is what we've done in the past. Let's keep doing it and not use this fuel. I don't like it, Rob. I don't like it.
Sometimes these things you can use outside of football that help you. Manchester City do it at the top of the table in a different way. Somebody down at the bottom is probably motivating Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest in a different way. I'm not saying that you take on we're fighting the will, us against the will, but there's elements of listen, we've been wrongly done. How can we address that? We can address it by winning games and showing the Premier League
doubling
that
down on everything,
we'll
on the
get
game
those 10
plan,
points
so.
back, and we'll show that we're a good team.
Yeah.
But we'll see how things go with
check
Everton.
that.
Obviously, that's a story that's going to run from now to the end of the season. On the points and the deductions. Let's go to the G-Tech, because it's never an easy place to go. Thomas Frank always has his team well set up. We saw almost like a five at the back, three in midfield,
Super tight.
two tight
Super
against
tight.
an Arsenal team that went there. A few changes in the Arsenal side that I think surprises. Declan Rice was in the holding midfield role. Trossard was one side, Odegaard was back the other.
I like it.
And Jesus, Martinelli, Saka is a front line.
Yeah.
Probably similar back line that we wanted. And Aaron Ramsdale was in goal because David Raya wasn't able to. I just said the words and you shook your head.
Memories sure come back.
So let's start. Should we start with Aaron Ramsdale and that whole
Go on then.
line? Because obviously Raya couldn't play against his parent club,
yeah.
so he's on the bench. So Ramsdale knew he was playing this game. All eyes on Ramsdale because of what's been said, what his father said, what he wants to be a number one. And it didn't particularly go swimmingly well in the first 45 minutes, my friend.
I mean, clean sheet, victory
Yeah.
is the best we can say about Aaron Ramsdale's performance. And I feel so sorry for him. You can absolutely see the nervousness and the panic. And talking about being, he's got to get out of his own head. And made a couple of really bad errors. We didn't see all of last year, Rob. We didn't see that last year. Deciding to throw the ball. Oh, should I throw it? And then trying to stop it at the end.
Does some of that fall on Arteta?
Yeah, I think it does. I think he does.
He wasn't that man. He wasn't that kind of personality.
There was not an issue in golf last year. And all of a sudden, Dabare's come in and he hasn't been good. He hasn't been as good as what maybe expected. Now you've got two goalkeepers that are feeling the pressure. Raya's not. He's had quite a few moments, Rob, where he's been caught out, and now the other guy comes in after doing nothing wrong last year and the first part of this season, and also had a bad game. So, listen, we're only saying what our eyes are seeing here, and maybe this thing's going to settle down. Raya's on loan. If he is going to be the guy, sign him in January, and maybe Ramsdale goes somewhere else. You get a number two that's okay with being a number two, and that surely is the way that it's worked in the past for other clubs. This was awkward. It was an awkward look. Other than that, Arsenal, patient, some good changes, attack-minded lineup. I thought good substitutions. Kai Havertz coming on, scoring that goal. Lovely ball in from Saka. When a team is compact and it's narrow and it's tight and it's physical like Brentford are, sometimes you've got to swing some balls in. Sometimes you can't always play intricate football to get through. And that's how the goal came. Good ball in the back post. Havertz is 6'4"? I think he might be 6'4".
Yeah, he's good size.
Big size. Heads it in nicely from a difficult angle. Thank you very much. Much better work from him. And the team will go away from there with few. That was difficult. Because it looked like, didn't it, Rob? It looked like this is going to be a 0-0. And sometimes these things happen.
They'd seen City and Liverpool draw, so they knew they had the opportunity to go top. And we're starting to talk about, have they missed the opportunity? I'm going to give credit to Mikel Arteta, as you say, for the substitutes, for his belief in what he's doing and how he does it. I want to give the team a bit of more, because I've said most of this season, I still think football-wise, there's a little bit more to go. I think
which is good.
They're good. Yeah, absolutely. Be top of the table, we're still gears to go through. But that steel and that grit and that determination, it looks a more
different,
complete. Yeah, a bit different. The chemistry's different. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why. Who was very close to winning my underappreciated performer of the week? Declan Rice, my friend. Declan Rice is a dressing room changer. He's that big.
Yeah, and he is. To be fair, he is appreciated. Declan.
He is. But his drive, Rob, to keep going. He sets up the ball that ends up going wide that goes in the box.
Yeah, he's different level. And we knew that. And that's why it's not whatever money, but we knew that money is a massive fee. But you're never going to regret that for him, what he can do. It's different positions, by the way.
You pay double for him for what he is. And I've got to go to my underappreciated performer of the week. Dun, 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 because I'm waiting. I'm going to put it out there and then I'm going to hold back. Kai Havertz.
Please explain. So he is underappreciated, is he?
Kai Havertz. Let me
go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Kai Havertz under difficult circumstances. I mean, incredibly difficult circumstances when you've been signed for 83 million and it's not going for you. He's got one goal that was a bit of a gimme when his teammates let him take a penalty against Bournemouth when the game was done. Gets thrown on late on in a game. It's 0-0. It looks like your team are not going to go top of the table when they should. You've been bought for $83 million. You've missed lots of easy chances. Your confidence looks super low, and then you get your head on the back stick and get a 3 points that takes you top of the table. It puts a whole different outlook on the weekend and the future, and could, let me say, be the word, that could start to kickstart your career. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think is underappreciated, because if Mikel Arteta can, so I've had could and can, start to get more out of Kai Havertz becomes a important another option for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus at the moment, not quite at it. Eddie Nketiah is in and out, not quite at it. Kai Havertz could be an important player for Arsenal in this running. Okay, I'm done.
Well, why I reacted immediately is there's the name of our thing. It's the underappreciated award, right?
Yeah.
So underappreciated means, Rob, that you know what, he's a good player, does a lot of good work. He doesn't get appreciated for it. Yeah. I don't see any of that. Where's it? Where's the work that he's done that's good that you're saying has been underappreciated?
Everybody can have
he hasn't done.
Everybody
Listen,
can have their own
I agree
version
that today.
Underappreciated.
Okay, and I agree. Deserves a tap on the back. I liked his interview. You know, I put my ego aside. I'm trying to work my way.
Yeah,
Love all that. Good game. Paid some of his feedback today. Yeah. Good goal. Yeah. But come on, underappreciated.
Hold on. What do you want him to do?
Just what he did today, or in the game.
Yesterday.
Yeah. So he deserves a tap on the back.
No, but
I just don't know whether are underappreciated.
But I'm saying
we should have
underappreciated.
You had a good game.
People like you have already earmarked
that
he's not good enough.
I've given him plenty of opportunity.
I'm saying to you,
he hasn't done enough to be appreciated.
A good Kai Havertz. We've got to look at upside. I'm with Mikel Arteta. The glass is half full. If Kai Havertz, if they can get him in the spot and get him confident, is a better player for Arsenal than Granit Xhaka. Kai Havertz has a capacity to get you double-figure goals. There's midfield players in the
double-figure goals.
He's got double-figure goals in him in a good season.
Yeah,
in a good team, in a good season.
Well, how long have you got to wait then for that? And where's he going to? He's put all over the team. He's tried.
Do people not go to clubs and have difficult times and then comes good?
I don't know many, by the way. I don't know that many that after a season, all of a sudden, spring into life and score a ton of goals. Listen, I'm a little bit tongue-in-cheek because I love a player that can find a way back from poor form.
Yeah.
I think he had a good impact off the bench. I just think it's a little early, and we respectfully disagree at certain things that he's an underappreciated performer because he hasn't done enough for me to say, look, this is what he can do. That's all I'm saying. But if you want to have a different parameter on it,
I'm not going to argue with your point. I'm going to say
he had a good impact.
Based on maybe what Arteta sees in training, based on what he sees in the dressing room, based on he doesn't have to play him, he doesn't have to put him on, he doesn't have to continue. Mikel Arteta sees something that's going to make his Arsenal team better because Mikel Arteta wants to win the Premier League. And I just think Kai Havertz, a good Kai Havertz.
It's a lot of ifs, right? Let me just double down a little bit then. Just finally on this, I don't want to go on too much about it. Where do you think, in all seriousness, where is he going to flourish, Rob? How many more chances in midfield? Or is he a false nine? Or is he a left back like he did for Germany?
Gabriel Jesus played at Manchester City. He could play wide left, wide right, centre forward, false nine. Kai Havertz has the capacity to play in a number of positions. He's a great athlete. He's good in the air. He's got clean feet. And technically,
you're not going to have him in front of Martinelli, or are you on the left forward? Martinelli or Havertz?
No, although Martinelli's not playing particularly well, but no,
so
he's not a wide player.
So not
he's
Saka,
a false nine or a midfield player, or an 8. Yeah, he's a false 9 or an 8.
And that's why he was bought. We heard that from Mikel Arteta.
Right now, I'm not sure if with the centre forwards that are playing at the moment, he might not be a bad option as a false 9.
Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, I liked Arsenal's perseverance. I agree, in terms of I think they're tougher this year.
Yeah,
they certainly will have learned from the experience of last year, and the top of the league. The top of the league after with we don't know. I don't know what the ceiling is. I don't know what they're going to be when everybody's fit and playing well, and Havertz is scoring 10 goals from midfield. I don't know where they're going to go.
You got to love Kyle. Let's talk about Newcastle and let's talk about Chelsea. St James's Park. So Mauricio Pochettino's just come off a 4-4 draw just before the break. One of the better performances, and you said you can start to see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We can see where we're going. And then we go St James's Park. We concede 4. And in his words,
Crikey.
not ours, it was one of the worst performances of the season. Pochettino was sitting in the stand, so he got a good look at it from an aerial view. Was very, very angry at the press conference. Defensively, they were shambolic. Chelsea, I watched a highlight package last night. I mean, Buddy Shield was in. Thiago Silva, I have to say, is not in his best form. Reece James, your captain, gets sent off for 2 silly yellow cards.
Yeah.
A little harsh, but he gets sent off in the end. Cucurella wasn't great. I kind of feel like this is what we're going to be with Chelsea. This is it. Up and down, up and down. Great game, look good, not so good, not so good.
Yeah. It's a consequence of a lot of young players, a lot of new players, players that we've said before, we're not sure they're good enough to be effective as Chelsea players in terms of where they want to be. And Todd Bowley's looking for players that can play in the best Premier League season.
Yeah.
We know that.
90 to 100 point
players. He wants to produce a team that's capable of 90 to 100 points in a season. Obviously way off that right now. They're mid-table. I really like Pochettino. This is not a Pochettino thing. I don't know whether that's going to start being a thing with people in the game or Chelsea. I don't know. I can't imagine anything to do with him. But that's not the problem right now. They've got a lot of work to do, Rob, and those players have got a lot of work to do. Maybe the sporting directors. There's 2 of them at the football club. Have got a bit of work to do in January, etc., etc. And again, this wasn't one of our main games this weekend. There's one of those windows of all the games going on, so we didn't get a detailed look at it all. I did see the goals though, Rob, and I saw Newcastle United, and I can't help but love the way that they power through. They find ways, and one player that almost got my underappreciated is Anthony Gordon, and his maturity at this club, his progression, the excellent management of his manager Eddie Howe, the persistence at times early season, Rob, where I thought he was a little bit wishy-washy on the left-hand side. I like his sharpness, I like his speed.
Thought that he wouldn't be in the team with Harvey Barnes
coming to the club. But I mean, what another good acquisition, and well managed to get the best out of him, like all the other signings under Eddie Howe pretty much. I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 that haven't been so great, but another player that deserves a mention and deserves maybe an England call-up. That's the thought.
Well, Scottish call-up, because he's also eligible for Scotland, and there was talk this week that maybe Steve Clarke might go and try and nab him if he doesn't get an England thing, which would be a shame for England and maybe a loss from Elliott's point of view. Jamal Lascelles as well, Rob, is one. I think we might have given him underappreciated the last few weeks, but I talked about him coming in instead of Botman. Apparently brilliant in the dressing room, is a captain of the football club, leads by example, make sure he regulates things. There's some good people around Eddie Howe, not only in his coaching staff, but your Trippiers, your Wilsons, your Lascelles. He's got Dan Burn. You get the sense that they regulate things and make sure everybody's on and training's right, and timekeeping, all those little things that can creep in, Rob, that sometimes start to have an effect on your club. You get this sense none of that's happening at Newcastle.
Do you think, as a football club and a team, Newcastle United are a little underappreciated as a team? I'll tell you for why, Rob. I remember a big seminar by this big sports statistician about the Premier League and points and all that. Well, I might have said this before. I apologise if I'm going over old ground here. But this person was saying that goal difference is a better gauge of how good the team is over a course of a season, because points can... the table can, in this guy's opinion, the table can lie. But the goal difference is more of a sense of how good they are. Right now, they're the joint second best team in the league. The best at plus 20 goal difference is Man City. The next best is plus 17, which is Arsenal, Liverpool, and Newcastle United, who actually with points are 6th right now. Are Newcastle in a false position, Robbie Earle? And are they still a team to finish in the top 4?
They are still a team. They absolutely have the capacity to be in the top 4. I think how deep or where they end up in the Champions League might have an opinion. What they bring in the January window in terms of adding some more depth to the squad is going to be important. I think the thing that's underappreciated for me is that they didn't go for the headline star manager and the headline star players are all going to take them to another level with all this money investment, and it shows that actually good coaching, hard work,
careful club
management and recruitment It's just as important,
really
Rob, as bringing anyone else. And well done to Eddie Howe and all the people who are running things at Tottenham. At Newcastle. Let's go to Tottenham Stadium. Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 2. Spurs coming off back-to-back defeats after 10 games unbeaten for Big Ange. Still missing a number of players to injury and suspension. I think we said, Rob, didn't we? I was doing this game this morning. There was probably up to 5 first-team starters not available. You had Lo Celso, Bentancur and Earle all making just their first Premier League start. You had Royale playing as a emergency centre-back. Eric Dyer not even involved, Rob. When you're missing your main centre-backs and then Eric Dyer still doesn't get in the team, it shows that he has no future at the club.
He doesn't, because he's not very quick, and he's a good player, England international, brilliant career. But with this system, he needs somebody quick back there. And I thought Emerson Royal, to be fair, did a good job. I'm not a huge fan of Ben Davies, and I will say right now that the 2 goals scored by Aston Villa, I will say it here and now, would not have been scored if Romero and Van der Ven are playing. The 2 centre-backs that are normally there would defend the long set piece into the box better. And I got to think they would have been closer to Ollie Watkins, Rob, as he scores the second goal, the winning goal. Give and go, 2 centre-backs right in between them. I thought there was some brilliant football from Spurs at half-time. I'm like clapping, like, well done. Like, half the team is out and you're giving Villa a little bit of a run around.
Didn't take the chances, though, did he? One wasn't enough for that amount of playing, those amount of chances.
Yeah, well, Udogie first, the one over the top, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Kulusevski.
Sonny had 3 goals offside.
Yeah, so almost really, really great. Yeah. But fair play to Unai Emery, and we always look out for this. Things that managers do at half-time that changes things tactically, substitutions, that was in this case the important factor. He changed everything around, Rob, and that with Spurs' tiredness, because the players haven't played. Like, it's hard to get that.
Intensity is hard to play. You can't train at that level.
Right, and they tired. They really, really did tire. And Villa, to be fair to Villa, I do, when I look at sometimes the line and them getting caught in behind, I'm like, gosh, they could have conceded 2 or 3 goals in the first 10 minutes. But
it was interesting because you said that on the broadcast today, and I'm thinking, like, again, I'm sorry if I keep on saying, but it was a great insight when we were around Villa and talked to John McGinn a little bit. Everyone knew a little bit. I'm just saying, like, what's he like? He said he doesn't give the videos to any video analysts. After the game, he goes home at night, does all the watches it and analyses it himself, draws things on, all that, which is brilliant stuff. But my point is, Rob, he will see that high line and he will see that they're creating chances. Yet he must have decided that that's the way we've got to play. We've got to take that risk. The odd days we might get done, or And by the way, they've also got a magnificent goalkeeper whose reactions in and around the things are good, and who's quick at coming off his ground. He might just say,
I'll take that risk.
Yeah,
and that's fair enough. And fair play. And fair play to him. And absolutely right. We saw him get hit 4-1 first weekend of the season with
Newcastle.
Newcastle United got him behind it. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he's like getting in.
But that being said, to your point, they're fourth, aren't they?
They're fourth. Yeah,
I've got an old table. I've got an old table in front of me. They're fourth. They're fourth in the Premier League. We're playing that way.
They've scored 31 goals. Only Man City have scored more goals than them.
And that high line enables pressure. It enables them to be higher up. It enables them to get forward easier. They're not sitting all the way back to, and it being a long way for them to attack. So, I get it. On one hand, I hate. It bothers me. It bothers me sometimes to see that how people get in behind them. But you are right. He's a very smart coach, and he's willing to take that gamble. That this means in other ways, other benefits they'll get from that, that they'll come out on top. And they're blooming in the top 4. So fair play. Fair enough.
Again, just to add to that as well, I remember one of the players was asked something about his style, and he said it was so awkward playing so high. It was Conser. He was saying, I felt uncomfortable there.
Totally.
But he says, no, he made him believe in it. And he says, now we get it.
All right.
So there's a time where you have to get over the doubt, and I think the players have. I think maybe we only see them every now and then, and we see the chance, and we think, he can't get away with that.
Still, also, by the way, we talked about it today, Rob. You can still be high, and when you see that ball going in behind, you can still kind of retreat real quick and try. It's not like we're going to stay here and we're sticking our hand up for offside. I think there is a way of doing that. Maybe they're better than we expect on that. But well done, Aston Villa top 4. Brilliant story. And I also thought Spurs played well. I enjoyed that game. That's a proper game of football.
Absolutely.
Entertaining. 2 coaches that are strong-minded, want to do it their way. Loved it. Absolutely loved that.
Just on that, Rob, before we move on, Terry Venables, just want to talk about Terry Venables died on Saturday night. Former Tottenham manager and player, notably was seen as a shining light for England and got England to the Euro semi-finals in 1996. Yeah. 91 Cup winning with Spurs, and I know you had 6 months with him at Middlesbrough, and I mean, you couldn't talk higher of a coach than you talked to Terry. So really sad day.
It's a sad
personal
day.
Memories, mate.
Oh, just great ones. By far the best coach I ever worked with, Rob. And I'll say, like, when you're a kid and you dream about being a professional player, and you think about being a pro training, and what that's going to look like. His training sessions and what he did on the field with us tactically. This is what I have expected to happen. But I didn't see that. In my nearly 20 years, only those 6 months with Terry Venables did I work with a coach that I was like, wow, he's teaching me something here, by the way. I'm learning stuff. And by the way, it wasn't easy to take on board. It's quite complicated. Yeah. And he literally, when the ball is there, you move here as he moves here. Then you spread out. Then I want you on the back post covering your central defender. Even as a wing back, he got me doing that. Yeah. And then, so he was a brilliant tactician, and a real quick story. And of course, my Borough fans will know this. We were rock bottom, Rob, with Middlesbrough in
Premier League,
99 or 2000, rock bottom. And Terry Venables was asked to come in by our chairman to assist and help out the club and the team and the manager, coach us out of trouble. After we had meetings, crisis meeting at the club with our current staff, and we hear this, and why aren't you doing this, etc., etc. And they asked the team, what do you think, right? And I wasn't a big voice in the dressing room. I'm not a loud type of guy, but I have an opinion. And I stuck my hand up in that meeting and I said, you know what, Gaffer, I just think we should be more. By the way, this is before Venables, so if I make that clear. Like when we're bottom of the league table, and there's Brian Robson and Viv Anderson and Gordon McQueen, God bless him. And I just said, you know what? I feel we should be more organised, more groups, or on the same page. If something goes wrong, we know who did it. We know where we're going. We know what we're trying to do. I got shouted down by the staff.
Yeah.
What do you want us to do? Move you around like Sabutio, man? Grow up,
take
and I'm like,
yourself.
I put my hands up. Okay, just that's my thought on it. And I don't take any pride in this or anything, and I'm not trying to say that I was right or whatever. A few weeks after that, nothing improved. We got yelled at every game, and Terry Venables came in, and he wasn't assisting anybody. Moved them to the side, let me coach the team. Never raised his voice one time, but got us on the training ground. And what did he do? He moved us around like Sabutio, men. You move here. I want you in this position. And to be fair, right, I wasn't really in his best 11. So he because of the system and the midfield makeup, he wanted a goal threat, which was Christian Karambou, played for Real Madrid. He wanted a real good playmaker passer, that was Paul Ocon, who was the Australia captain, and he wanted a getter, a really great deep playmaker and aggressive player. We had Paul Ince,
as good as
so okay, but anyway, that doesn't taint my view. He coached us, Robbie Earle, from bottom of the league table to comfortably out by the end of the season, avoided relegation, and I was like, and the fans were like, wow,
well played.
So that's a coach. And I learned more about the game and about tactical side of things and about defending lines and where they should be in those 6 months than ever before. I knocked on his door one time, Rob, because he had an idea about how do we defend corners. He left two people up, they were split, and I'm like, why are they? I knocked on his door.
For three.
Why are they split? Wouldn't you want them close together? And he opens his door, come in, let's have a chat. And he got his little tactics board and he explained to me what his thinking was of playing the two forwards way apart, splitting forwards or whatever. I can't remember the details of it. And I think, so what a brilliant coach, a brilliant guy, super respected, fun, jovial, loved the crack, the banter, but what a smart tactical coach he was. And what makes me a little sad is that I know that he kind of retired, I guess kind of late-ish, and he had a dream, I think, to live in Spain. He had a hotel or an Airbnb or a bed and breakfast. And I just feel sad that he didn't get to live and enjoy that as long as what he should have done, given his amazing career and service to the game. So there's nobody that I could speak more highly of in terms of a coach, of a manager, Others have different attributes, and I love different managers like Brian Robson for other reasons. But in terms of a pure coach, Terry Venables was absolutely top of the tree in my career. And I'm somebody that's a thinker, you know that, and I love that side of the game. And I learnt more under him than anybody else. An absolute gentleman, and it's a sad day for football.
Yeah, it's really well said. Just quickly on that, mate, just before we move on, and as you say, you know, that means something when it comes from your heart like that. We've got a league of innovators: Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Pochettino, those kind. Where would Venables be? Would that be the kind of company he would?
1,000,000% happy with all that lot.
Yeah.
He'd be right in that group. Right in that group in terms of loving. He would love right now what the Premier League is and what Postecoglou does at his beloved Spurs. Yeah. Well, he'd love that. He would love it because that's what he was. And he was way ahead of his time, Rob. Yeah. And that's why he did so well with the England national team, because he was doing things like that and making teams a lot better.
The
but it's a good point.
Tree, wasn't it, and all that?
Yeah, the Christmas tree formation. He was a thinker and he did great work. And it's a good, interesting point because the Premier League now has got some of the brightest minds I think we've ever seen, Rob. And the game is, I mean, just think of the days where get it wide, get it in the channel. You know, it's so different now.
Not today those days, mate. They served as well. They served as well. Let's just go through the other results quickly. Luton Town got their first ever Premier League win at home with a 2-1 win against Crystal Palace. Mengi with the first goal, Elise with a beauty for Crystal Palace, and then Brown late on gets the goal that sends the Kenny crazy. Also, slightly bad news for Palace. We're not sure yet if the report, but Eze looks like he got injured and walked off.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll have to see, but not a good day for Roy Hodgson and Crystal Palace. A brilliant day for Luton. We'll start believing, Rob, that, you know, with the 10 points that the Everton have got, why can't they stay up?
Why can't they? The energy that they play with, the way that they play, they bash it forward a little bit. And that's what they've got to do, whatever it takes to give them a chance. So great win for them. Congratulations, first ever win there. Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3. Two sides to this. Sheffield United, wow. I mean, maybe. Yeah, he's got to be under pressure now, given that at home against Bournemouth. But fair play to Andoni Iraola. I don't know whether we spoke much about him, Rob, but I've kind of liked what they've been doing the last few weeks.
We talked about him last
He's growing. The team's growing. The team's playing. And he's starting to do some good work.
Tabernier's got Semedo, Tabernier's got a couple of good players, mate. They've got a nice little way of playing and neat and tidy. Yeah, great win for them. Burnley 1, West Ham 2. Burnley go 1-0 up. Rodriguez with a penalty after Koleosho gets taken down. But Burnley, Rob, that 7 games at home, 7 defeats, an own goal from O'Shea, and then a Suchak
when does he go away from the style, Rob? Does he go away from that expansive, open style?
I don't think he does.
No, I don't either. But
part of being Vincent Kompany, I think, allows you that opportunity more so than if you're Paul Heckingbottom, Rob, or you're somebody else. But I feel they need some tweaks, Rob.
They've got to be, hasn't it?
I feel they need some tweaks, trying to play the style of play, and you know, from winning positions, from scoring goals, they're getting a look in. They go 1-0 up, and then 2 late goals in late in the game, 86 minutes, 91 minutes, a 5-minute spell, and there go your points.
When you play that way, that expensive way, you better be pretty good, as you're going to concede a lot of goals. A team that are pretty good in expansive style, Rob, is Brighton. Brighton go to the City ground, Nottingham Forest, and win 3-2. A difficult place to go to.
We're 1-0 down, weren't they? Alanga scores after 3 minutes.
Yeah, and then you get the young star players. Evan Ferguson, one of those guys, scores after 26 minutes. João Pedro scores a penalty. Gibbs White was involved in that. There's a red card to Lewis Dunk as well in the game. I mean, De Zerbi's kind of celebration, Rob, was strong.
It's the first win in nearly 2 months in the league.
Yeah, that's probably why.
I think 6 without.
They got a lot of injuries again. Another team
has got a lot of injuries, but a bit like Ange, you got to love that they are. They're going to play a certain way, and you know, if it's young players coming in, if it's older players, this is the style. This is what
it's good,
we
isn't
do.
It, mate? And it's good though. The style in the Premier League now is so good and so different to what it's been for many, many years. A great result, and Brighton continue to do well.
Listen, another great weekend, mate, where goals were the theme of this weekend. Haaland got his 50th in record time. His City drew with Liverpool. Kai Havertz, yes, my Kai Havertz, unappreciated player of the week. Comes good for Arsenal. They had edge past Brentford. Newcastle put £4 past Chelsea with Poch in the stands, and Garnacho gave us one of the greatest goals we've ever seen in the Premier League as United win at Goodison Park to move into the top 6. We'll be back next Sunday, that's December the 3rd, when we'll recap match week 14 that sees Newcastle host Manchester United in the big game at St James's and Man City take on Spurs. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.